This time the quick speed shop. We're at Carlisle at the Chrysler Nationals. Bam! Look at this AR Cuda. Let's go look at some parts and some cars. I'm here swap meeting. You're looking into the sun.
Checking everything and ended up and I have
here at Clark's Garage. They're doing a Daytona clone and a bunch of other Mopar stuff.
Yep, we're at Clark's Place.
Clark's Place.
Yeah,
that's okay.
We've come to Carlisle 3 years in a row, and we bring all the stuff that are left over from projects that we're not using, and just ran into Josh here for the first time. So we're going to check out his videos. Hopefully you check out ours. He's going to do a link in his videos, and I'll do a link in mine to his. So check us out.
Sounds good to me. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Let me get the thing on the trailer here.
That's some high quality graphics right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is. I need to get it.
You didn't think I'd finish out the video out showing you what I got at the swap meet, did you? Bam, it's right here. Let's take a look. I scored pretty big for reasonable money. I was able to get a bunch of things I was looking for. We'll start with the Daytona stuff here. I got a whole set of door panels and quarter panel door cards in original black. Now these are in somewhat rough shape, but driver quality, I'll say driver quality minus. They'll clean up good. There's 70 Charger, which is 70, 68 to 70 is the same door, but the panels varied. These are off of 70, where they put the Charger on the door panel. The door top is a Charger medallion, so these are 70 only. They put that on there. So they're probably worth a little bit more than 68 or 9, because they're harder to find, because they're 70 only, but, there's less 70 Chargers. I don't know. I gave the guy, it was Mopar Sal from like New Jersey or Massachusetts somewhere with an accent. Anyways, bought these. They'll clean up decent. They got a couple little tears. They're going to be good enough for what I'm doing. Obviously, there's 70 panels in a 69 Daytona. Eventually, I'll probably buy, a brand new interior from Legendary or whatever, but those are like multiple thousands of dollars. For $200, I got the door panels and the quarter panel cards, and at the other swap meet a couple months ago, I already got the door top pieces in black vinyl here, which say Charger, so I got that. So I can do a full black interior in the car. I put a black dash pad in it and dash parts, so it was a good score for me. These are hard to find. Obviously, they have some value of being Charger parts, but a lot of people, they restore cars, they buy new stuff, so it's in my price range. I bought them. They'll clean up pretty decent with some Armor All or whatever, and they'll be good driver quality. Door panels, out of the 69 Cornet 500 sedan, I've got armrests that hopefully they're long enough for I'll have to find armrests. But anyways, got those. Got a set of 69, 70 Charger taillights. Unfortunately, I only needed the passenger side one, but, most people don't want to sell just one taillight. So I had to buy a pair. They're $200 for the pair, but they're in decent shape. They'll clean up good. As you can see, actually, you can see, listen, one's got the silver paint on it, and one doesn't. This one's filthy, so I have to touch that up. But they got all the clips in them and stuff for the trim to go on. They're in decent shape with the buckets on the back. So paid $200 for those, or no, $190, because I was out of money at the end of the day. $190. Guy wanted $200. All I had was $190 in my wallet. So as the last purchase was this taillights. So now we got a pair. I have a driver's side taillight that I bought that I'll probably sell. Like the going rate on them at swap meets appears to be about $100 a taillight. So I'll probably resell that. I got those. I got the reverse lights for the tail pan. A pair of those. They're $20 a piece. And I also got the quarter panel end caps. These are like pot metal, I guess, and they got speed nuts to go on them. Obviously, this one came off a Plum Crazy car. On that one, the back, this one is missing just a tiny little bit of the corner. I think that's behind the deck lid, or you're not going to see it. But yeah, I could read probably the date code on these and see what they're actually off of. I can't see. This one might be off of 70. Anyways, got those because of the broken edge. I got those they were $25 a piece. I got those for $40. That was a good score. I just needed these. They repop them, I think, but for $20 a piece, I'll take them. They'll clean up. $20 a piece on the reverse lights. I thought that was a good price there on those. They're in nice shape. I got a set of Dodge 72 to 80 Dodge taillights for $5 a piece with the buckets and the harnesses. They got a couple of cracks. These are for my plow truck out back. It needs taillights, buckets, and lenses. They're not perfect, but for $5, I'll take them. They'll be good enough for a plow truck in the driveway. One thing I did score, it was awesome for $10, is the original washer filler tank from my 79 or my 80 Dodge, the brown one. It was all brittle and broken, and this one's in really nice shape. It's out of a 76, but they're the same thing. Plastic's in really nice shape. Put the new motor in the bottom of it for the squirter, but that was $10. That was an awesome score. I don't know if they repopped those or not, but I found them. Got the 68 to 70 Charger fuel filler with a cap for the trunk. this doesn't say fuel on it like the 69s do, so I don't know if this is the 68 or a 70 or if it's aftermarket. I'm not sure, but it does flip and work there. So it's a cap. Oops, the spring is a little weak on the return there, but it's a cap. Is there a date in it? Hold on, let me look. Investigate. I haven't looked. It's a Chrysler unit, so it's either 68 or 70 cap because it's 69 and says fuel on it. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, got that for $100. That seems to be the going rate. The filler necks, everybody wanted $75 to $100 for a filler neck, and got the cap with it for $100. That's fair. So now I got a fuel pipe. And then I went and I bought first. This is the first stuff I bought for my 58 Plymouth. I got a nice 57 wheel, no cracks in it, because the one car out back, somebody cut it off and made like a spaceship steering wheel out of it. So got a really nice wheel, hardly any cracks. It's out of a 57 horn ring, which is pretty rough there, but need something to go in the car. This will go there. I'm probably pretty sure that the 58 and 78 wheels are the same, and just the centerpiece will change, so I could find a 58 center section. But anyways, the wheel is really nice shape. I think I gave like, I don't know, $40 for the wheel with the centerpiece. Then I bought all the pie tins for the tail lights. We got a set right and left pie tins here with a trim, a nice shape, and then a driver's side tail light off. These are like Savoy, Belvedere, Fury, and then I got a steel one, which is like a Plaza or the cheap model, whatever the plain Jane 58 would be. And actually, my 57 car, I'm gonna make a stock car in, has the steel ones in it too. That's the Savoy, but it's got the steel ones in it. I don't know if they're on at factory, but I got one of those. But it's got a taillight in it. I paid, I want to say, $50 for all the lights, or no, 100. I gave them $150. That's what it was. It was $100 for all the pie pins and the taillights, and $50 for the wheel. That's what it was. $150. So I didn't think that was unreasonable. That's probably about the going rate-ish on the Facebook pages for these, but the guy had a bunch. He dealt in forward-look cars, and I just bought all the stuff. So I needed these pie pans for my car, my 58 Savoy Post. I needed those, and then I need the tail light, and I have bits and pieces. So that was a good deal there, and I needed the wheels, so that was a deal. So, bam, spent all my money I took. Like I said, if you watch the last video, I just got all my Janik Reproduction Daytona fiberglass parts in about 4 months ahead of schedule, so I had to scramble and move all my car money around to pay for that. So I had like no funds to go to Carlisle, which I was planning on looking for stuff. I ended up getting a hood that I needed, the 70 hood or 69 Daytona hood from Janik. I was going to look for ones at Carlisle, only saw a couple of them. They were really expensive. Like the cheapest one, like Clark's Place had, was a used one for like $1,000. They sold right away. Other ones are $2,000 to $3,000. So I got Grant's hood, and it's brand new, so that's good. But this stuff was like, I took just over $600 in my wallet. I came back with $7 in my wallet. So almost $600 worth of parts here, plus any money I spent on food or whatever. But awesome experience. It was so hot. It was like 93 degrees on Friday, almost 100%. It felt like 100 degrees with the humidity and stuff. We went through the swap meet. I didn't drag my wagon, I just walked and carried all the stuff by hand, in and out trips to the van. Found stuff. Mopar prices are outrageous. I would have liked to buy more things, but I couldn't afford. This is all I could afford is this stuff. Like, I'm really happy I got the door panels for $200, and I think that was a fair deal for what they are compared to like a brand new interiors, thousands and thousands of dollars for a brand new interior. So anyways, happy with all the stuff I got here. It's all good used parts. And the show field was pretty awesome. Like lots of cool cars. I saw a couple of new Daytonas. 5150 Mopars had that green one on the end. The whole side of it got smashed in the trailer, I guess, on the way down or up from Texas. It's like an $800,000 car, and it spoiled the whole side of it. So that sucks for those guys, but they'll get it fixed. And saw one other, that yellow Daytona was a real one. The other one in the middle, the blue one, was a clone. There was a clone Superbird, and then half a dozen or so real Superbirds. So a few wing cars there, a couple more Superbirds indoors. Like Superbirds, I'll say are a dime a dozen because they made almost 3,000 of them. I was really excited to see a couple of real Daytonas, which I did. the Trans Am series, TA Challengers, and AAR CUDA display. That was freaking awesome to see all them cars. Those are, if I had to get into E-body and AAR CUDA or actually TA Challengers, what I really want would be awesome to have. Those are super, super cool cars, and tons of stuff. Ran into Clark's Place on YouTube. Give them a follow. They're building a bunch of cool Mopars. They're out of Florida. They're doing a Daytona clone, kind of like mine in orange right now. They're a little bit ahead of the game. Got the fenders and stuff from Janik ahead of time of me, and that car is going to be done this year. Mine's going to be done probably in a year or two. But Clark's Place, give them a follow. I'll put them down in the description. Ran into them, and then ran into Parker from Backyard Barton Finds. If you've been watching his channel, he's done some awesome videos, like crazy, pretty much muscle car rated stuff. I'm trying to get him to come here to do a video, so we'll see how that works out. But he just did one in upstate New York with a Boss 429 guy. Like, unbelievable the stuff that guy had over by eastern middle of New York State. So anyways, ran into those guys. That was super awesome. Did a little bit of networking and spent all my wad on parts I needed, and now we're on to the next one. So my first ever Chrysler's at Carlisle was awesome, and maybe we'll go back next year. Let me know which cars you liked in the video. Put it down in the comments. It's still super hot out. I gotta put this stuff away, and then I think I'm gonna work on C10 stuff. It's 90 degrees out again today. I feel like I'm in Florida. So, thanks for watching. The van did awesome, down and back. No problems, just don't have AC, so we were dying in the van, but that's fine. Thing's a trooper. And we'll see you next time. Doing something cool. Mowing lawns for extra spending money at the Quick Speed Shop.